I killed her people. Then she asked me to kill her. Adam grew up in a place where life was never easy. The streets were crowded with people trying to survive, and danger always seemed to follow those who walked too fast or stayed too long in the wrong places. Branch. From a young age, he learned that trust was rare, and everyone had their own struggles. Schools were filled with students, but lessons often seemed secondary to the lessons of the street. Adam was smart, observant, and careful, but he was also curious. He wanted more than just survival. He wanted to feel powerful and respected, even if it meant making choices he would later regret. It was during his late teens that Adam met the group that would change his life forever. They were older, stronger, and confident in a way that drew in anyone who wanted protection or a sense of belonging. At first, Adam was just a helper. He ran errands, delivered messages, and watched as the older members handled more dangerous matters. He felt proud to be included, thinking this was his way to earn respect and perhaps a better future. He did not realize that some of the things he would be asked to do were morally complicated. He believed he was following rules, following orders, and surviving. In his mind, nothing was permanent, and no one would hold him accountable for just trying to live. One night, everything changed. The group Adam was with had heard rumors about a small community living on the outskirts of the city. The rumors claimed that this community opposed their influence and had something the group wanted. Adam had never been directly involved in anything violent before, but he was sent along, told to support the older members. He thought it would be just a warning or a small act, nothing life-changing. He trusted them and did what he was told without questioning. But when they arrived, Adam saw the reality. Families were living quietly in small homes. Children played in the streets, and the smell of home-cooked meals filled the air. None of this matched the warnings he had been given. Panic and fear struck him as the events unfolded. People screamed, ran, and hid. Adam's hands shook, and for the first time he understood the weight of his actions. By the end of the night, many innocent people were gone, and the small community was left shattered. Adam walked away physically unharmed, but the sight of those he had helped hurt. People he had once ignored in stories and rumors haunted him immediately.
He had killed hope for them, and he could never take that back.
Among the survivors, one person stood out to him. She was young, not much older than him, with eyes full of sadness and fear. Her name was Lena. He would never forget the way she looked that night, crouched behind a broken wall, trying to protect herself and her younger siblings. There was a quiet strength in her that surprised him. While others screamed and panicked, she observed, calculating what to do next. Adam felt a strange connection to her, though he could not explain it. Guilt mixed with an unspoken curiosity. He wanted to disappear from her memory, to leave her safely alone, but he was now tied to the tragedy, whether he wanted to be or not. After that night, Adam tried to keep his distance from everyone. He avoided talking about the event, avoided thinking too deeply about the faces he saw, and tried to convince himself that it was all part of survival. But guilt is not something that can be easily ignored. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the community broken, their homes destroyed, and Lena hiding, waiting for someone to save her. He started walking differently, avoiding the places he used to go, even refusing to meet people who were part of his past life. Deep inside, he knew he had crossed a line, but he did not yet understand the full consequences. Months later, fate brought Adam and Lena together in a way he could not have expected. He was walking through a crowded marketplace when he saw a young woman struggling to defend herself from someone who was threatening her. Without thinking, Adam stepped in, using his strength and experience to remove the danger. Lena looked at him with wide eyes, not recognizing him at first, only seeing someone who had saved her in a moment of danger. She was cautious, but relief softened her expression. Adam's heart raced as he realized that he was now responsible for her life in a different way. He could help her survive, protect her, and perhaps even try to make amends in the only way possible, by being there when it mattered. Over the next few weeks, Adam found himself repeatedly crossing paths with Lena. It seemed accidental at first, but then he realized he wanted to be near her. But she was cautious. But she was also grateful. She started sharing small stories about her life, her dreams, and the family she had lost. Adam listened silently, absorbing every word, feeling his guilt grow heavier. Each story reminded him of what he had done. Rest. Yet, as they spent time together, a strange bond formed. Lina began to trust him. She laughed at small jokes, asked his opinion on matters, and leaned on him in ways that made Adam feel a mixture of pride and fear. Pride because he was trusted, and fear because the truth of his past could destroy everything between them at any moment. Adam tried to live differently. He helped Lena rebuild some parts of her life, teaching her skills she could use to stay safe and earn a living. Breath. He stayed out of trouble, avoided the old group, and focused on being someone she could rely on. Still, the weight of the past never left him. At night, he would lie awake thinking about the choices he made, wondering if he could ever truly deserve forgiveness. Each day with Lina was both a blessing and a burden. But he saw hope in her eyes. But he also saw the reminder of what he had destroyed. The small community that survived that night slowly began to heal, but the scar of loss remained. Adam never let himself forget that he had played a part in it. He carried that guilt silently, not daring to tell Lena the truth. He feared that if she ever knew, the fragile trust they had built would shatter instantly.
Yet he also realized that living a life of lies was not truly living at all.
Every action, every choice he made from now on seemed to be measured against the possibility of redemption. As months passed, Adam understood that one night of mistakes could define a lifetime if he let it. He was determined to change, to protect those around him, and to earn some form of peace, even if it never came fully. Lena became a symbol of hope for him, a reminder that even after terrible events, there was still a chance for connection and care. Though he had once destroyed hope for her family, he now dedicated himself to being someone who could offer a different path. The first part of Adam's journey was marked by guilt, fear, and the harsh lessons of the past, but it was also marked by unexpected encounters, new responsibilities, and the beginning of a complicated relationship with Lena. Their lives were now intertwined in ways that neither of them could fully understand, and the road ahead promised more challenges, more revelations, and the ultimate test of whether Adam could ever find redemption in a world where mistakes could never be fully undone. After the terrifying night that had changed both their lives, Adam and Lena found themselves crossing paths more often than either expected. At first, it seemed coincidental, a brief moment in a crowded market, a shared space in a busy street, but over time it became clear that their lives were slowly drawing together. Lena, cautious yet resilient, began to notice Adam's presence, but he always seemed to appear when danger or trouble loomed, protecting her quietly, without asking for recognition. She could not explain why she trusted him, but the trust grew slowly, like a fragile plant pushing through concrete. Adam, on the other hand, struggled with his own emotions. Every time he saw Lena smile, he felt both relief and pain. Relief because she was safe, and pain because he knew that the safety he offered could never erase the past. The memory of that night, the screams, the destroyed homes, and the faces of those he had harmed, haunted him constantly. He had tried to run from it, to bury the guilt deep inside. But now, every interaction with Lena reminded him of what he had done. He could not tell her the truth, not yet, and the secrecy weighed heavily on him. Despite the tension of unspoken truths, a bond began to form between them. Lena started sharing small pieces of her life, stories of her childhood, the traditions her family kept, and the dreams she once had before tragedy struck. She spoke about her favorite books, the songs she used to sing with her siblings, and the quiet places she would go to think and feel safe. Adam listened carefully, absorbing every detail, feeling a mixture of admiration and guilt. Every story reminded him of what he had destroyed and what he had no right to protect. Yet he protected her anyway, driven by a mix of remorse and a desire to do something right for once. As days turned into weeks, Adam and Lena began spending more time together. They went on small errands, walked through the market, and sometimes just sat quietly in a park watching the world move around them. Lena's trust in Adam grew steadily, though she did not yet know why. There was a calmness in his presence, a sense that someone was watching over her without judgment. Adam, meanwhile, was careful not to let his guilt spill into their moments together. He smiled when she laughed, offered advice when she asked, and remained patient when she struggled with her past. Despite the slow growth of trust, tension always lingered in Adam's mind. He knew that at any moment, the truth could surface. He had taken part in destroying the life Lena once knew, and the knowledge that she had survived only because some things went unnoticed kept him awake at night. He wondered if the bond they were forming would shatter instantly if she discovered the truth. Every decision he made was measured against that possibility. Could he continue to protect her while hiding the most important secret? Could he ever make up for the life he had helped take? The bond between them deepened when Lena faced a personal challenge. One day, she encountered a situation that brought back memories of the night her community was destroyed. A group of aggressive individuals cornered her near her workplace, demanding money and threatening harm. Panic surged through her, and for a moment she felt powerless. But Adam was there. He stepped in calmly, using his presence to distract and de-escalate the situation. Lena watched in awe as he handled the threat with skill and caution, keeping her safe without unnecessary force. Afterward, she thanked him, her voice trembling, but her eyes showed a spark of gratitude she had not expressed to anyone in a long time. Moments like this strengthened the bond between them. Lena began to see Adam not just as a protector, but as someone who genuinely cared for her well-being. She shared more of her life, including dreams she had shelved after losing her family. She spoke about wanting to open a small shop, learn new skills, and help other survivors of tragedies. Adam listened, offering guidance when appropriate, always careful to remain supportive without overstepping boundaries. He became the steady presence in her life, a constant she could rely on amid uncertainty. Even with their growing closeness, Adam struggled internally. Each time Lena smiled, each time she confided in him, he felt the weight of his past mistakes pressing down. The guilt was unbearable at times, a constant reminder that he had no right to this bond. But he stayed, determined to do what he could to protect her and offer support. He began taking steps to change himself, avoiding old habits, leaving behind the dangerous circles he once moved in, and dedicating himself to living a life that could justify the trust Lena placed in him. Their friendship gradually evolved into something more profound, though neither of them spoke it aloud. There were moments when a shared glance lingered too long, when small touches happened accidentally but meaningfully, when the air seemed charged with unspoken emotions. Adam felt a desire to protect her not just physically but emotionally, and Lena, despite her past trauma, began to feel a sense of comfort and security she had not known in years. This emotional connection was delicate, built on shared experiences, trust, and the quiet understanding that both had endured pain and loss. Yet despite these tender moments, Adam knew that the past was never far away. He often reflected on the night he had participated in destroying her community. The faces of the people he had harmed, the sounds of fear and panic, and the knowledge that he had once taken away her family haunted him constantly. Desperate, he could not escape it, and he could not tell Lena. The secrecy became a burden he carried silently, weighing heavily on his heart and shaping every action he took. As their lives intertwined, Adam began to recognize the importance of small, consistent efforts. He helped Lena learn skills she could use to be independent, guided her through challenges at work, and ensured she had safe spaces to express herself. He listened patiently when she spoke about nightmares, about the moments she felt alone, and about the lingering fear of losing people she cared about.
Through his actions, he tried to provide stability, care, and protection, the things he had once failed to provide for her family.
The bond between Adam and Lena also grew through shared quiet moments. They would sit under the stars, talking about the future, discussing hopes and fears, and sometimes just sitting in silence, drawing comfort from each other's presence. These moments became the foundation of their connection, a reminder that even after tragedy, human bonds could heal and grow. Lina began to feel a sense of hope she had thought was lost forever, and Adam, though burdened by guilt, found purpose in supporting her journey. Despite the growing connection, tension remained. Adam constantly questioned whether he deserved the bond he had with Lena. Could someone who had caused so much pain ever be worthy of trust, friendship, or even love? These thoughts plagued him, creating moments of self-doubt and anxiety. Yet he persevered, believing that through consistent care, protection, and honesty in action, even if not yet in words, he could make a difference in Lena's life.
Over time, their relationship became a delicate balance of trust, care, and unspoken understanding.
Lena depended on Adam not only for physical protection but also for emotional support. Adam, in turn, found meaning in being someone Lena could rely on, someone who could offer guidance, comfort, and stability in a world that had been so cruel to her. Each small victory, each shared laugh, and each moment of trust strengthened their bond, even as the shadow of past mistakes lingered quietly in the background. The second part of Adam and Lena's story showed that human connections could be rebuilt even after the deepest pain. Trust, once fragile, could grow with patience, care, and consistent action. Bonds could form not through grand gestures but through small, daily efforts, protecting each other, listening, and simply being present. Though Adam's past loomed like a shadow, he was learning that redemption was possible not through words alone, but through sustained, thoughtful action. By the end of this period, Adam and Lena had built a relationship that was both delicate and strong, filled with care, trust, and emotional closeness. They were still unaware of the full challenges ahead, the truths that would one day surface, and the decisions they would have to face. But in these months, they found a rare connection, one that offered both hope and responsibility. Adam discovered that even in a life marked by mistakes, it was possible to do something right. Lena found that even after devastating loss, trust and emotional safety could be rebuilt, one careful step at a time. Pious. And Adam and Lena's bond continued to grow. They had settled into a routine of shared moments, laughter, and small adventures. Lena started to feel a sense of safety she had not known since the night her community was destroyed. Adam remained a constant presence in her life, always there when she needed guidance, protection, or simply someone to listen. Yet beneath this fragile peace, a shadow lingered. Adam's secret, his role in the tragedy that had taken Lena's family, remained unspoken, like a quiet storm waiting to break. The moment of truth came unexpectedly. One afternoon, while Adam and Lena were walking through a crowded street market, a man from Adam's past appeared. He recognized Adam immediately and called out his name. Lena stopped in her tracks, feeling uneasy as the man approached. Adam tensed, realizing that the past he had worked so hard to leave behind was catching up to him. The man spoke in low, hurried tones, warning Adam that the truth of that night, the night he had taken part in destroying Lena's community, was about to be revealed. Adam's stomach sank. He knew that hiding it any longer was impossible. The revelation happened slowly, painfully. Lena overheard part of the conversation. Pieces of information, vague at first, started to make sense. She confronted Adam later, her voice shaking with a mix of anger, fear, and disbelief. "Was it you?" she asked softly, barely able to speak. Adam looked at her, feeling every ounce of guilt in his body. He could not deny it. The truth, which he had carried silently for months, spilled out in heavy words. He admitted everything, his involvement, his mistakes, and the regret that had consumed him ever since. Lina's reaction was immediate and intense. Anger flared first, burning hotter than she expected. She stepped back, her hands trembling, and tears filled her eyes.
Rah. How could you? She whispered, her voice breaking. How could you be the one I trusted, the one I relied on, and yet…
The betrayal was overwhelming. All the small moments of trust and care they had shared now felt fragile, threatened by the weight of the past. Adam tried to reach for her hand, but she pulled away. He felt the sting of rejection, the undeniable proof that his actions had consequences far beyond what he had imagined. For hours, Lina walked alone, trying to process the storm of emotions inside her. She remembered her family, the quiet home they had shared, and the community that had been destroyed. But she remembered the fear, the screams, and the long nights filled with uncertainty. And now she realized that Adam, the person she had begun to trust and rely on, had played a part in that same tragedy. Confusion and heartbreak swirled together, leaving her feeling isolated and vulnerable. Adam, meanwhile, faced his own torment. He could see the pain in Lina's eyes, the hurt that reflected the faces of the people he had harmed. He felt every ounce of remorse, every weight of guilt pressing down on him. He wanted to explain, to make amends, to somehow take back the past, but he knew that words alone could never undo the damage. He could only stand there, silently hoping that Lina could one day understand the complexity of his mistakes and the depth of his regret. Days turned into weeks, and the distance between them grew. Lina avoided Adam, speaking to him only when necessary. The trust that had been slowly built over months now lay in fragments. Adam respected her space, though it hurt him deeply. He knew he could not force forgiveness or trust. He could only be patient, showing through his actions that he had changed and that his care for her was genuine. Every interaction became a careful balance of support and distance, a test of whether their bond could survive the revelation of truth. During this period, Lina began reflecting on her own emotions. She was torn between the deep hurt of betrayal and the recognition that Adam had acted differently in recent months. He had saved her countless times, offered guidance, and become a steady presence in her life. Could those actions mean anything now? After the truth had come out, she struggled with conflicting feelings, anger and gratitude, pain and admiration, distrust and longing. The complexity of human emotion weighed heavily on her, forcing her to confront not only Adam's past, but also her own capacity for forgiveness. Adam, aware of her inner conflict, continued to act with care. He never pressured her to forgive him, never made excuses, and never tried to justify his past. Instead, he focused on being present in ways that mattered, small gestures of kindness, practical help with daily life, and unwavering patience. He hoped that over time, Lina would see that his actions in the present reflected his commitment to change. He wanted to prove, not with words, but with deeds, that he was no longer the person who had caused so much pain. The turning point came one evening when Lina faced a difficult challenge. She had been struggling with a problem at work, one that threatened her stability and confidence. Adam offered assistance, not as a way to manipulate or gain favor, but out of genuine concern. Together they worked through the problem, step by step. Lina saw his patience, his guidance, and the sincerity in his eyes. Slowly she began to remember the man who had once been her protector, the one who had quietly stood by her side during moments of danger. The memories of past betrayal were still present, but a new understanding began to take shape. a recognition that people could change, and that actions in the present could speak louder than mistakes in the past. During this time, Adam and Lena also shared moments of quiet reflection. They would sit together, sometimes in silence, sometimes talking about their fears and hopes. But Lena began to express her feelings cautiously, testing whether Adam's remorse and commitment were genuine. Adam listened without judgment, acknowledging her pain and giving her the space to process emotions at her own pace. These moments became the foundation for a new phase in their relationship, one built on honesty, accountability, and the careful rebuilding of trust.
Despite the gradual progress, tension remained.
Lina could not forget the past completely, and Adam could not forgive himself fully. The memory of that night, the screams, the destruction, and the loss remained a permanent part of their lives. But they both began to understand that healing was a process, not an event. Forgiveness, trust, and connection could not be rushed. Each day required effort, patience, and a willingness to confront difficult truths. Part of their story was a turning point. It showed that even after the most profound betrayal, human relationships could endure, provided there was honesty, accountability, and sustained effort. Lena learned that anger and pain were natural, and that processing emotions took time. Adam realized that redemption was not a destination but a journey, one that required consistent action, humility, and empathy. Together, they began to navigate the complexities of trust, forgiveness, and emotional connection, laying the groundwork for a future that, while uncertain, held the possibility of reconciliation and understanding. By the end of this period, Adam and Lena were no longer the same people who had met months ago. Their relationship had been tested, strained, and challenged in ways they could not have anticipated. The truth of the past had surfaced, causing pain and conflict, but it had also provided an opportunity for growth. Adam's remorse had become a guiding force, shaping his actions and choices. Lena's reflection had given her a new perspective on trust, human complexity, and the potential for change. Together, they were entering a new chapter, one that would demand courage, honesty, and resilience as they faced the challenges of the future with a deeper understanding of themselves and each other. The days after the revelation were heavy with silence. Lena had pulled back, unsure how to interact with Adam, and Adam had respected her space, though it tore at his heart. Their shared moments became rare, limited to necessities, brief conversations, and glances filled with unsaid words. Yet despite the distance, the bond they had built could not be erased. It lingered quietly, like a faint ember waiting to ignite again. But even as they tried to navigate the tension, the weight of the past seemed to grow heavier for Lena. The memories of her lost family and destroyed community were always present. She tried to move forward, to focus on the life she was rebuilding. But grief has a way of returning, even when we try to push it away.
Each day she wrestled with feelings of anger, betrayal, and deep sorrow.
She remembered the laughter of her siblings, the warmth of her parents, and the quiet comfort of her home. She remembered Adam's involvement in taking that away, and it left a hollow ache in her heart. Though Adam had proven himself protective and caring, the truth of the past could not be ignored. One evening, Lena sat alone in the small room she had made her sanctuary. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across the walls. She thought about her life, the losses she had endured, and the fragile hope she had tried to nurture. Her mind drifted to Adam, the one person who had been consistently present in her life after so much chaos. She remembered the ways he had protected her, the advice he had given, and the patience he had shown. And yet, she could not escape the truth. He had once destroyed her world, and she was struggling to reconcile that with the support he now offered. The emotional weight became almost unbearable. She felt as if the grief she carried had nowhere to go, no way to release itself. She had survived once, but survival did not erase the pain. It did not erase the longing for justice, for understanding, for closure. She questioned why she was still alive, why she continued to carry the burden of loss while Adam, the person responsible, stood by her side. The conflict within her was intense, and the longer it persisted, the harder it became to find clarity. Finally, in a moment of despair, Lena reached a breaking point. She sought out Adam, not in anger this time, but with a heavy heart and a fragile resolve. Her eyes were filled with tears, and her hands trembled as she faced him. "I can't do this anymore," she whispered, her voice barely audible. Adam immediately sensed the depth of her pain and stepped closer, though cautiously, giving her space to speak. Lena took a shaky breath, struggling to find the words that had been bottled up for so long. "I can't keep living with this," she continued, tears streaming down her face. "I trusted you. I believed in you. And yet you were part of everything I lost. My family, my home, my life before this. You took it away. And now, I feel like I can't go on." Her voice broke completely, and Adam felt a lump in his throat. He wanted to say something, anything, but he understood that this moment was not about words. It was about emotions, raw and unfiltered, spilling into the world without restraint. Then came the unthinkable. Lena's next words sent a shock through Adam, freezing him in place. "I want you to end this for me," she said quietly, almost as if speaking the words would make them real. "I want you to help me die." The room seemed to shrink around them, and for a moment there was only silence. Adam's mind raced. He could not believe what he was hearing. Lena, the girl he had grown to care for deeply, the one he had sworn to protect, was asking him to take her life. The request was unimaginable, a culmination of grief, despair, and hopelessness that neither of them had anticipated. Adam's heart ached, not only because of the request but also because of the pain that had led Lena to it. He could see how deep her despair ran, how heavy the weight of grief had become. He wanted to comfort her, to erase the pain, but he knew that ending her life was not the answer. He shook his head slowly, fighting back tears of his own pain. "No," he said firmly, his voice gentle but unwavering. "I will not do that. I cannot. I will never do that to you." Lena's face reflected a mixture of shock, anger, and sorrow. She had expected him to refuse, but the depth of her despair made the rejection feel almost unbearable. "Why not?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Why can't you just do it?" "It would make sense. It would end everything."
He glances around in despair. It would be justice, maybe. Her words were heavy, filled with grief and the weight of unimaginable loss.
Adam reached for her hand, careful to offer support without force. "Because your life matters," he said softly. "No matter what I did in the past, that does not give me the right to take yours. You are not your pain, Lena. You are not your grief. You are strong, and you have survived so much already. I cannot erase the past, but I can help you live in the future. I will not let you destroy yourself because of what I once did." His words were steady, filled with emotion, but also conviction. He refused to let despair dictate their actions, even when it seemed impossible. For a long moment, Lena looked at him, her tears still flowing, but a flicker of something else appeared in her eyes. Confusion, hesitation, maybe even hope. She realized slowly that ending her life would not bring back what she had lost. It would not honor her family, and it would not create justice. She could not undo the past by giving up her future. Adam's unwavering presence, his refusal to comply with her request, began to pierce the darkness that had clouded her mind. Over the following days, Adam remained by Lena's side, offering support and care in every way he could. He helped her confront memories, process grief, and take small steps toward rebuilding a sense of stability. They spent hours talking, sharing, and reflecting. Lena began to understand that seeking to end her life would not heal the pain. Instead, she learned that living, even with grief and sorrow, was an act of strength. Adam's dedication showed her that life could still hold meaning even after unimaginable loss. During this time, Lena began to engage more with the world around her. She reconnected with friends, pursued small goals, and found ways to honor her family's memory through acts of kindness and resilience. Adam remained a steady presence, offering guidance, support, and protection, but also allowing her to take control of her own healing. Slowly, she began to feel a sense of agency over her life again, realizing that the power to continue rested within her, not in the hands of others. The unthinkable request had been a turning point for both of them. It forced Lena to confront the depth of her grief and the strength required to continue living. It forced Adam to confront the true weight of his past actions and the responsibility he carried in the present. Together, they navigated a path through despair, finding ways to rebuild trust, hope, and resilience. They learned that life, even after tragedy, could still hold meaning, beauty, and connection. By the end of this period, Lena had not completely healed, but she had begun to reclaim her life. She understood that the past could not be undone, but the future could still be shaped. Adam's presence, patience, and unwavering care had provided a foundation for her recovery. The bond between them, tested by grief, despair, and unthinkable requests, had become stronger in ways neither of them had anticipated. They were entering a new chapter, one marked by hope, resilience, and the difficult but essential choice to choose life over despair. The days after Lena's unthinkable request were difficult, but they were also the beginning of real change. Adam remained a steady presence in her life, not only as a protector but as a guide, a friend, and someone who genuinely cared about her well-being. Lena, though still carrying the weight of grief and betrayal, slowly began to understand that her life had value beyond the pain of the past. Each day, she took small steps to reclaim her sense of self, her strength, and her hope for the future. Adam's unwavering support gave her the courage to face the memories she had long tried to avoid. At first, Lena's steps were tentative. Breath. She would wake up some mornings with a heavy heart, unsure if she could bear the day. The memories of her lost family and destroyed home haunted her, and moments of despair would occasionally resurface. But now she did not face these emotions alone. Adam was there, patiently listening, offering encouragement, and helping her see that grief did not have to define her. Breath. He reminded her that she had survived immense tragedy, and that survival itself was a testament to her strength. Slowly, Lena began to realize that life could still hold meaning even after loss. Patience. They spent their days working together in small but meaningful ways. Adam helped Lena find ways to pursue her goals safely, teaching her skills she could use to support herself and contribute to her community. They would walk through the city, exploring areas Lena had never visited, sharing stories about dreams and aspirations, and laughing at small moments of joy that had seemed impossible before. Each shared experience strengthened their bond, allowing trust to rebuild in a cautious but steady manner. Lena began to see Adam not just as someone from her past, but as a constant in her present, a person who had chosen to do good despite his mistakes. Even as trust grew, both Adam and Lena were aware that the past could never fully be erased. The memory of that night, the screams, the destruction, and the faces of those lost remained a permanent part of their lives. Lena would occasionally speak about her family, the moments she had missed, and the future she wished she could have had with them. Adam listened with empathy, never trying to offer excuses, but acknowledging the weight of her loss. He understood that redemption was not about erasing the past. It was about choosing to act differently in the present and future. As time passed, Lena began to engage more with the community around her. She found ways to honor her family's memory through acts of kindness, volunteering to help others who had faced hardship, and creating a small support network for survivors. Adam supported her in these efforts, ensuring her safety and helping her navigate challenges without overshadowing her independence. Together, they became a quiet force for good, proving that even after unimaginable pain, life could be rebuilt with purpose and care. Their emotional connection deepened as Lena began to confront the lingering anger and betrayal she had felt toward Adam. She realized that while he had caused pain in the past, he had also proven that he could change. His actions now reflected his remorse and commitment to doing what was right. Slowly, she began to understand that forgiveness was not about forgetting, but about recognizing the effort and sincerity of someone who sought to make amends. This understanding allowed her to open her heart to trust again, though cautiously, knowing that rebuilding trust takes time and patience. One evening, they sat together under the stars, a quiet moment that reflected how far they had come. Lina spoke about her fears for the future, the memories she carried, and the hope she still wanted to find. Adam listened attentively, offering words of encouragement and reassurance. "You've survived so much," he said softly. "You've shown strength that most people could never understand. And even though I caused pain, I will spend every day proving that I can be someone you can rely on. Your life matters, Lena, and I will do everything I can to make sure you see that." These conversations became a cornerstone of their healing. Lina began to feel empowered, realizing that she could choose how to live her life, how to honor her family, and how to find peace despite the past. Adam's presence reminded her that even those who have made mistakes can strive to do better, and that redemption is possible through consistent effort and care. Together, they navigated the delicate balance between acknowledging the pain of the past and building hope for the future. As the months went by, Lena started to smile more often, laugh more freely, and engage more fully with the world around her. The trust she had once lost was slowly being rebuilt, and Adam's dedication made her feel safe in ways she had never imagined. They shared small victories, moments of joy, and quiet achievements that symbolized the resilience of the human spirit. Through it all, the bond between them grew stronger, not just as protector and survivor, but as two people learning to live fully after tragedy. Adam, too, experienced growth. He learned that redemption is not earned through grand gestures, but through consistent, humble actions that prioritize care, empathy, and accountability. He understood that while the past could never be undone, he could shape the present and future through choices that reflected responsibility and compassion. Every moment spent helping Lena reclaim her life became a lesson in humility and the power of human connection. He realized that true change comes from action, not words alone. Their story became one of resilience, responsibility, and the transformative power of human connection. Lena had faced the deepest despair and had chosen life over hopelessness. Adam had confronted the consequences of his actions and committed himself to being a force for good. Together, they proved that even after mistakes and tragedy, life could hold meaning, hope, and purpose. They learned that healing is a journey, not a destination, and that trust and forgiveness are built through consistent care and understanding. By the end of this period, both Adam and Lena had come to a new understanding of themselves and each other. They had faced the darkest moments of grief, betrayal, and despair, and emerged with a renewed sense of purpose. Lena chose to live fully, honoring her family through her actions and the care she gave to others. Adam dedicated his life to making amends, protecting those he cared about, and proving that he had changed. Their bond, tested by tragedy and reinforced through patience and empathy, became a testament to the strength of human resilience. In the final days of this chapter, Lena and Adam reflected on their journey. They recognized that the past could never be erased, but the future was theirs to shape. Each day they chose hope over despair, action over inaction, and connection over isolation. They learned that even in a world marked by mistakes and loss, life could still be meaningful, and that people have the capacity to change, grow, and heal. Break. Together they faced the future with courage, compassion, and the understanding that even after the darkest nights, the sun could rise again. And so their story, marked by pain, responsibility, and redemption, reached a place of quiet resolution. Lena had reclaimed her life. Adam had committed to making amends, and together they had discovered that the human spirit can endure even the greatest trials. They had learned that trust, once broken, can be rebuilt, that grief, once overwhelming, can be managed, and that life, no matter how difficult, is always worth choosing. In the end, they walked forward into the future, not forgetting the past, but empowered by the lessons it had taught them, ready to face whatever challenges might come with strength, hope, and unwavering determination.